Welcome to the DWI Guide podcast, where defenders of the Constitution assemble to prepare for courtroom battle and firm owners gather to develop marketing strategies that will revolutionize the practice of criminal defense. Here's your host, the DWI guy, Jake Minnick.
Hello, fellow freedom fighters, and welcome to episode 99 of the DWI Guy podcast. On today's episode, we're talking about heart, loving what you do, being passionate about criminal defense, being passionate about DWI defense. This is the most important character trait to me if you want to become a DWI master. Over the last 10 episodes, we've heard from some of the masters themselves about what they love doing about DWI, about how they approach cases, and you can tell all of them love their line of work. They all love defending DWI clients. They love being able to put the time and energy and study in to getting better at this work. Over the last 3 episodes, we have talked about the character traits of DWI Masters, and kind of moving into the next few episodes, we're going to be speaking with a few more DWI Masters. But over the last 3 episodes and today, we've reflected on some of the common characteristics of a DWI Master. On episode 96, we talked about education and the focus of student mindset and learning DWI law, studying it so that you can adequately prepare your case for trial. On episode 97, we talked about marketing. If you can't figure out how to get clients to call you, get clients to hire you, then you're not going to be able to help anybody. So that's a common characteristic of a DWI master, marketing. Episode 98, last episode, we talked about trying cases. It is the practice of law that we engage in, and the way that we get better, the way that we improve is through putting our skills into practice in the courtroom, one case at a time. And doing that over and over and over again, and learning something new and trying something different on a regular basis, repeatedly. But today we talk about passion. We talk about the heart that is required in order to become a DWI master. And it is so important. It's so important. This is, to me, the most important characteristic of a DWI master. Because if you put in the time and study to educate yourself on DWI law, if you get good at marketing and focus on that and actually spend the time away from the courtroom in the office, building your brand and building your business and getting clients in the door. And then if you actually start going into the courtroom on a regular basis and fighting these things and taking these cases to trial, if you do all of that without loving it, without being passionate about the fight that you are engaging in, the only thing that you are headed for is burnout. You will not become a DWI master. It is absolutely essential to love doing this kind of stuff if you are wanting to be a DWI master. And for anybody listening that is engaging in regular criminal defense, but also is engaging in other practice areas, if there's anybody that's listening that likes other aspects of criminal defense more than DWI, kudos to you for listening and trying to improve your game when it comes to DWI. But I have some bad news to deliver to you. You're not going to become a DWI master. You have to just live, eat, and breathe this stuff if you want to be the best. if you want to be at the top. You have to love it. And so, again, if you're listening to this podcast, if you're studying, if you are growing in your knowledge of DWI law, but it is not something that you are passionate about, again, I appreciate that you are doing this to go to bat for your clients, but you're not going to long-term become a DWI master. So some hard news to deliver, because I feel like pretty much anybody that passes the bar can hit the other 3 character traits just through pure determination and grit and will. If you want to become somebody that really knows DWI law and studies it, then you can have the characteristic of education that we talked about back on episode 96. If you listen to enough business podcasts, you read enough books about marketing, branding, building your business, thinking about your law firm as a business, you can hit the marketing framework described in episode 97 just through time and energy and hard work. If you start putting cases in front of a judge in the courtroom and trying them and putting your fears aside and just getting up there and getting after it, you can acquire the characteristic of being a trial warrior described in episode 98. But if you don't have heart, if you don't have passion, if you don't believe in what you do, if you don't love what you do, you are not going to become a DWI master. You're just going to hit burnout with it at some point. Every lawyer that I have ever met that I would consider at the top of the game when it comes to DWI defense loves doing it. They love it. They love this area of law. They love their practice. They love their clients. They love the people that they represent. If you're not passionate about it, it's not going to work. And that's the issue with this particular character trait. It's not a fake it until you make it kind of deal. It's not, again, I'm just going to fight through it, will myself through it. It can't be done. It can't be done. So, going to have a couple of just very short reflections on this point. But as silly as this may sound, as silly as it may sound to have an episode of a podcast devoted to passion and why this is an important characteristic of DWI defense work, I guarantee you that if you're not passionate about it, you're not going to become a master long-term. And so if that is the game plan, you should start looking elsewhere. And I don't mean that as an insult or condescendingly. You will just not be happy doing this. You won't be happy in the long run. Steve Jobs once said, your work is going to fill a large part of your life. And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know it when you find it. Powerful, powerful reflection from Steve Jobs. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life. And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know it when you find it. Powerful. Powerful reflection. This is why it is so important for us to be passionate about what we do, because it's the only way to do great work, as Steve Jobs describes it. Becoming a DWI master, one of the greats, requires heart, requires passion. We're talking about wanting to be one of the GOATs, one of the greatest of all time. Well, we just saw one of the GOATs retire from the NFL, right? Maybe the GOAT, in my opinion, the GOAT when it comes to the NFL, Tom Brady, just stepped away from the game. stepped away from the game really at the top of his game. People want to say that Michael Jordan stepped away when he retired the first time, when he was at the top of his game. Tom Brady had a heck of a season. I mean, it's not like he just was totally down and out. He didn't quit. He didn't retire because he was losing his edge, his competitive edge. He didn't retire because of his skill set going down. He didn't retire because his arm strength isn't what it once was. He didn't retire because he's getting old. He didn't retire because he can't throw for enough yards. He didn't retire because he's on a bad team and thought he couldn't win the Super Bowl next year. All those things are not true. Tom Brady retired because he wasn't feeling it anymore. He has other pursuits. And if he can't go in 100%, he's not going to stay with the game. If he can't be 100% committed to living, eating, breathing football, he said, I'm not going to keep playing if I can't be that all-in player. Why is Tom Brady the greatest of all time, in my opinion? It's not because of his football IQ. It's not because Peyton Manning, in my opinion, had a higher football IQ than Tom Brady. It's not because of his hard work and the practice that he put in, although he did. He had an insanely high football IQ. I mean, one of the smartest quarterbacks that ever played the game, but not the smartest. Hardworking, yes. The hardest working player that ever played in the NFL? No, I don't think so. But put in the time, preparing, watch the game film, practice, did his job, as Bill Belichick would say, was focused on that. It's not the hardware. It's not the rings. It's not the Lombardi trophies. It's not the MVPs. It's not the Super Bowl MVPs. It's not the trophy case that makes Tom Brady the greatest of all time. To me, it is his passion for the game. You watch Tom Brady on the sideline, and that man was committed to one thing, and that was winning. Winning at all costs, putting whatever amount of energy that needed to get put in. It was all there. And there is few players, I think, that ever played the game that commanded the respect of their teammates the way that Tom Brady did. It's because they knew that he ate, breathed, lived football, that he had done everything possible because of his love for excelling, because of loving what he did, that they could follow him into the most ridiculous of situations. And when you watch the New England Patriots, they've done a couple of documentaries now about the New England Patriots, few Super Bowls back against the Falcons. They're trailing 28-3 at the half, and it's just not looking good. Just not looking good at all for the Patriots. They come out on the sideline, and the whole team believes that they are coming back. I think most teams at that point, there'd be at least some players that are mailing it in. Hey, this, it stinks that the season has to end on this stage and this way. They all believe they were coming back. And it's because of one man. It's because of Tom Brady that they believed that they were coming back. And he believed. It's just wild to see the kind of passion that he had for the game be able to spread to his team, to have that kind of belief system, because again, he was so fired up about winning, so fired up about the game. Tom Brady once said a lot of times, people who aren't so blessed with talent are the most competitive and have the biggest heart. A lot of times people who aren't so blessed with talent are the most competitive and have the biggest heart. That's it. I mean, that is it. This is not a guy that stood out on paper coming out of college, right? Gets drafted in the 6th round. Just a fill-in at the beginning. But the New England Patriots, when they drafted Tom Brady, drafted the most competitive person, the most passionate person in the NFL draft that year, and maybe that ever played the game. And ultimately, that's what matters, because all of these other character traits that we've talked about, education, marketing, trying cases, they flow from this passion. If you're passionate about this work, if you're passionate about defending people, if you are passionate about making a difference in people's lives, helping them turn their life around when they have been charged with a crime, a very serious crime, helping them get their life back on track, helping them get their family back on track, possibly helping them face down the demon of an addiction. If you're passionate about this, all of those other things will follow. Education will follow. You will study because you care. You want to get the right result. You want to work hard to have the knowledge so that when you walk in the courtroom, you can represent your client the way that you want to represent them because you're fired up about it. Marketing, you're going to want to go get clients, not because you care about the bottom line, not because you care about your bank account, but because you want to help people. And if I'm going to help people, I need people to come in my door. I need people to call me. I'm not going to be able to help anybody if I can't get my phone to ring. So I'm not doing it from a business decision. I'm not doing it from some sort of salesy position. I want to help these people. If you want to help these people, you got to figure out ways, and you're going to get very creative about figuring out ways to get people to call you so you can provide the level of service that you know you can provide. You're going to get after it on the marketing and branding end of things because it is what allows you to help people in the courtroom. If you are passionate about DWI defense, you are going to have the time of your life trying cases in the courtroom, the absolute time of your life trying cases. It is just going to feel like a game. And that doesn't mean you don't take it seriously. It doesn't mean that it's not important. It's just, there is nothing better than getting in front of a judge or in front of a jury and advocating like mad for your client when you care about what you do and when you care about the people that you represent. As Tom Brady would say, when asked what's your favorite Super Bowl win, which one of your Super Bowl wins was the greatest? The next one. The next one. It's not about the result. It's not about hitting some number. It wasn't even about being the greatest. Don't think Tom Brady's goal was to be the greatest. He just wanted to win. And he was so passionate about that he just kept on making it happen. No matter what had to occur in order to get the W, he was driven towards that. It wasn't to get the next Super Bowl ring. That was just part of the achievement, the outcome. Tom Brady enjoyed the process. He enjoyed the process of preparing for Sunday. He enjoyed the process of getting his body in shape the way that it needed to be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Whether he was practicing with the team, whether he was by himself, it was all preparing for that next opportunity to get a W. Passionate about it. If Tom Brady had been doing it to earn $50 million contract. If Tom Brady had been doing it to get the next Super Bowl ring, he would have burned out. It was about the process. It was about the climb. It wasn't about being at the top. It wasn't about being the greatest of all time. It was about striving towards that goal. Got to be in love with the process. You got to love what you are doing. So you have to identify what it is in your life, what it is about your practice that makes you want to do what you do. Why are you defending DWI cases? You've got to have a really profound and meaningful answer to that question if you ever want to become a DWI master. You got to have a profound answer to that question. Maybe it is because you just absolutely love trying cases, and there's very few cases, criminal cases, that go so frequently to trial as DWIs. So maybe you just love trying cases and you're like, this is my avenue to be the courtroom trial lawyer that I want to be. Maybe you want to help people. Maybe you want to be the person that is constantly on the attack in terms of helping people. You're just so passionate about being able to turn people's lives around. Helping good people in their darkest hour is our mission as a firm at our office. Helping good people in their darkest hour. That's why we're doing what we do. That's why we're pushing the way that we push. You got to find what you're passionate about. And, if you want to pretend like money is going to be the reason that you're going to find your passion in this field, you better forget about it. And I don't think anybody is disillusioned on that front. You can make good money doing criminal defense as you can in many areas of law. You can make good money outside of law. That's not going to keep you going long term. It's not going to keep you going long term. Just like with Tom Brady, the trophies, the rings, the MVP awards, that was all icing on the cake. Being financially successful in this field has to be icing on the cake. It can't be the driver. It can't be the reason to be stepping into the office every day, and it can't be the reason to step into the courtroom. I'll leave you with these words and a reflection on these words from Will Smith. This is what Will says. I want to do good. I want the world to be better because I was here. I want my life. I want my work, my family. I want it to mean something. It's like if you are not making someone else's life better, then you're wasting your time. Your life will become better by making others' lives better. Mic drop, Mr. Smith. Got to do the mic drop after that one. Your life will become better by making other lives better. If you are listening to this and you are in the game, you are in the courtroom because you recognize that you are making other people's lives better, because you see the difference that you are making in your clients' lives, because you care about the people that you represent, because you love what you do, you are very likely to become a DWI master. The other stuff will follow. Education and focusing on growing in these issues and your knowledge of DWI defense, working on your business, trying cases, all of those things will follow from that passion. If you're in it because you're helping people and making a difference in people's lives, there is a very high probability of being a DWI master. So if you're just listening to this and you don't feel that your education is where it needs to be, you haven't built your business to where you want to grow it to at this point, or your personal caseload to where you want it to be at this point, if you haven't tried many DWI cases, but you love doing this stuff, you're on the right path. You're on the right path. Keep working at it. Look forward to speaking with you next time. If you found the information in this podcast to be valuable, I simply ask that you pay it forward and share this podcast with another member of the legal community. Also, if you would leave us a rating or a review on whatever platform you are listening on, I would greatly appreciate it.